Hello, I'm Evan Dawson, and this is Arts in Focus, celebrating and reporting on arts and culture in Rochester and beyond. Some of you have heard of Ward Stair. What you may not know is that his interest in music began at a very early age. At just 5 years old, he got hooked on Beethoven. Now, not too many years later, this Rochester area native has become the music director of the prestigious Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra.
Music is very much a living, breathing thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's alive itself. When I was around 5 years old, I was listening to a recording that my father played, and it was kind of a fateful moment because he said, after he had explained what a record was and that it had sound and music on it, he said, "Would you like to hear one?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Pick." And there was a wide variety, and my little finger happened to land on a Beethoven symphony. And I remember the sensations. I don't remember in great detail because I was 5 years old, but I do remember being captivated by the sounds and the landscape of sound in a classical symphony. And I actually listened to the entire symphony that day, and I asked for more later. So over the course of several weekends, I think I listened to all the Beethoven symphonies at 5 years old. The first orchestra that I ever heard live was the Rochester Philharmonic. So being here now as the music director is a little bit surreal for me because I remember sitting up in the loge up there many times with my family and watching. I remember fighting with my sister over the binoculars because we wanted to look at all our favorite sections and favorite instruments up close. I think it might have been my youth orchestra director who talked to me about it articulately, for the first time, and sort of articulated what a conductor does. It was Dr. David Harmon. He was the youth orchestra director when I was in the Rochester Philharmonic Youth Orchestra, and then when I realized that, I thought, well, that's what I want to do. That's fantastic. I skipped a year in high school, went to Juilliard when I was 16 years old, and then when I was 18, actually after halfway through my second year, I was appointed principal trombone of the Lyric Opera of Chicago. So I left school to go to Chicago when I was 18, and I started, just dove in really to the professional world, and I played there for 6 full seasons. And while I was in the orchestra, in the Lyric Opera Orchestra, I also subbed a lot with the Chicago Symphony and once with the New York Philharmonic, which was amazing. So I was playing with really great orchestras, but then I had time in the off season to really pursue my end goal and my main dream, which was to become a conductor. And my first conducting position was with the Los Angeles Philharmonic. I was the League of American Orchestras conducting fellow there when Esa-Pekka Salonen was music director. I did that for 1 year, and then I went to St. Louis, where the St. Louis Symphony hired me as their resident conductor. And I was there for 4 complete seasons, and I've been back many times as a regular guest since then. I've conducted a lot at the Lyric Opera Chicago and some in Europe and kind of all over the place. For the last 2 years, I've been really guest conducting. And so now it's wonderful to have a home base and have a fantastic orchestra of my own. I look forward to doing is interacting a little bit more directly with the community, I suppose. I don't want there to be any perception that we as classical musicians are unapproachable or up on in some ivory tower or in a wax museum. I mean, we're very much accessible. I'd like to really increase our footprint in the community. I'd like to bring dynamic programming in the sense that we have something that the audience likes and is familiar with and will recognize, but also some new things. So we challenge the ears a little bit, but we have a thread of familiarity, so people are rewarded for coming to the hall and hearing a piece that they've known since their childhood. It's not just building the relationship with the orchestra, you're also building a relationship with the public. And so I look forward to doing that, and I want to have that interaction and that feeling of a connection with them.
For more information, visit rpo.org.